Hey, friends. Hey, welcome back to some thoughts to myself out loud. It's Friday, October 3rd, and I'm Joe, your guide through the noise and nuisance and the news that matters. Now, today we're talking about choices, the ones in Washington, the ones here in Hardin County and surrounding areas here in Kentucky, and the ones we make every day as parents, neighbors, and leaders. This episode isn't about judgment, it's about reflection. So let's get into it and let's start talking about some thoughts to myself out loud. The first thing I want to do is address the shutdown and some college reform. Let's start with the federal shutdown. Once again, Congress couldn't agree, and everyday Americans are paying the price. Federal workers are furloughed, parks are closed, and key sources or key services are paused. It's the third major shutdown in 5 years, and quite honestly, it's exhausting. The shutdown now is being used as a tool to get their way and as a tool to say, "Hey, I'm taking my ball and going home." And in the meantime, they continue to get their paychecks, and the military doesn't get paid, government employees don't get paid, and the American people suffer. All the while, they're throwing their fits in Congress and in the White House. Now, you know, I'm sure everybody has their own political opinion of this. I'm just giving some thoughts to myself out loud, and that is this. If you have several opportunities to make to accept a clean bill meaning there's no puff, no fluff, no added extras from the Republicans, the same bill that you've approved what, 13 times? I think it's 13 times during the Biden administration. There's no reason. This is the same exact bill. There's no reason other than to make a point, other than to, again, take your ball and go home. There's no reason why this government need to shut down. None. None. So you take whether or not you agree in the Affordable Health Care Act, unless regardless of whether you agree it's for to pay for health care for illegal aliens or illegal immigrants. It doesn't matter all that. When you have the opportunity to say, okay, let's put that aside. Let's do the same thing that the Republicans did for you during the Biden administration and give you that bill. Again, it had no puff, it had no fluff, it had no added extras. That's why you can't blame the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House said there's nothing to negotiate. It's not like we've added something that we could bring to the table. There's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing that wasn't there the first time or the last 13 times that you guys agreed to it. So my thought is this: you've owned it now. This is your shutdown. You had an opportunity to say, okay, we don't agree with this. Let's work on this some more, but we're going to keep America going. We're going to keep the government going. No, you took your ball and went home. And that, my friends, is on you. That's on you. That's on every Democratic leader. Now there's people, and it's all. Listen, I'm not a fool to think that they don't know what they're doing. I'm not a fool to think that everybody is perfect in this because they're not. But when you have one side fighting over he's in charge. No, he's in charge. Now you may not like him or you may like him. I don't care. But we know, as conservatives, as Republicans, as somebody that has voted for Trump, we know who's in charge. Okay, there is no puppet involved. You can say what you want about Donald Trump, but you know he's nobody's puppet. He's not working for anybody. Okay, and I said that to say that, and not to get into some kind of debate or some kind of hack, because this isn't one of those shows. I'm not trying to talk down to anybody, but let's face some facts. Okay, the fact is they had a chance to make it right with the American people, and they refused to. There's a discussion going on right now of who's taking blame. Hakeem's in charge. No, AOC is in charge. They're battling right now. They don't give a whiff about you or about the American people. They want the Republicans to look bad. They want the Republicans to suffer. They want Americans to suffer so it looks bad on the Republicans. They want Donald Trump to fail. They want him to fail because they want power. That's not an ideological or a my side your side kind of thinking. That is the facts. That and it's only the facts because that's the steps they've taken. They've could have taken steps to make sure that the American people were taken care of and were protected, but they did not. Meanwhile, the government stalls. While the government stalls, White House is pushing a new education deal. Colleges can actually unlock funding if they sign a 10-point agreement. All right, and this agreement means that they're banning race and sex-based admissions. Okay, this is a college. This is for the colleges now, and in order to get this new education deal, they have to agree to stop the race and sex-based admissions, freezing tuition hikes, and capping international enrollment, and requiring standardized testing. So they're pretty much saying, okay, we're gonna push this new deal on you guys, this education deal. But listen, you can't continue to be racist and sexual based on your admissions. You can't do that. They're going to freeze this tuition hikes, and they're capping how much international enrollment they get because they're turning down actual Americans that are trying to go to college. And so, and then what they're doing is they're requiring standardized testing, so we know that the money they're investing in these colleges and the money that parents are investing in these colleges are actually doing something. I mean, they do it to public school system. Why wouldn't they do it with the higher education? I agree with it wholeheartedly. I think it's not it's not the perfect step. I think I agree that it's going to step on some toes. I agree that some students are going to be unhappy about this, especially the students that are what they call professional students, students that have been in college for I don't know 12 to 15 years. I remember quite a while back, and I have no doubt in my mind that this gentleman is still in college, but it's a grown man, a lot older than me. I was talking, and actually, I had an opportunity to share the gospel. Went around, was knocking on doors and sharing the gospel, or inviting people to church, and I came across this young college, quote unquote, college student who was approximately 38 years old, and he was still in college, still going to school, still in college. And I said, "You haven't graduated, or what degree are you going for?" He says, "No, you see, what I do is 2 or 3 years down the road, before I actually I changed my major, and so I'm under different majors," is what he was saying, and the what I got that to interpret as, he's a career student. He's making money for going to school, so he is a career student. And it's time taxpayers stop paying for career students. Let them make money off of what we're giving them education for. Again, some thoughts to myself out loud. And then there's Harvard, reportedly close to a $500 million deal that opens federal funds and launches AI and engineering trade schools. It sounds pretty futuristic to me, but here's the thing. If these reforms don't serve the communities that need them the most, it's just another elite handshake. It's got to be able to help those people in the community, and our funds, our taxpayer funds, are the money that the government gives is just not a free check. It comes from somewhere. Okay, and I just, again, thoughts to myself out loud. I just think it's time for accountability. It's time that we have the students accountable, the teachers, the professors accountable, and the administrations in each college accountable, not only for the money that's being just poured out into these colleges, but also the education and the education level. I have four of my kids who are college age. One out of the four actually graduated. Actually, God bless her. She actually went on to get her master's, and all 4 of them are doing well. All 4 of them are fantastic. Uh, and so I'm not downgrading anybody that doesn't finish their college degree. What I'm doing is what I'm saying is we have to have some sort some sort of accountability in it all. We have to say, all right, this is what we're giving and this is what we expect in return. And that's what I think this new deal with the colleges is. This is saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and give you this deal. We're going to go ahead and continue the funding into your college, into your studies, into helping you survive, so that you don't boost up. But we're there. You go. We're not going to give you that money and then have you boost up the uh, the uh, the money it costs to go. The tuition. We're not gonna let you boost it up while we're giving you more money to do this. And in doing that also, we're gonna cap how many foreign enrollments you have, international enrollments you have, because we don't wanna fill our nation's universities up with people that we wanna make sure, and I guess you can call it the America First theology or ideology. We want to make sure that American students are getting their place at the table as well. And then, of course, they're requiring standardized testing. They want to see, like I just said, they want to see if it's getting through, if they're actually showing up, if the professors who are getting paid taxpayer money are actually getting teaching. I don't think that's a lot to ask for. I don't at all. Even in public private schools, there is a certain amount of expectation. There's a certain amount of listen. This is what we require. This is what we expect. This is the expectancy of you teaching, even in homeschool. I remember my wife homeschooling, and when she homeschooled, there was an expectation of understanding. There was an expectation that they had to pass a standardized test. Maybe it's just here in Kentucky. I don't know, but I know it happens. I know it had to happen in order for my kids to go. Now, she homeschooled during the elementary and junior high school, most of the junior high school years, and then in high school, because of social reasons and being able to adapt to other people, we went ahead and had them introduced into the high school level of education. And so my wife didn't teach the high school level of education, and they weren't homeschooled after that, and they did well. And so my point being is, you know, it's something that happens everywhere. In other forms of education, why not the higher forms of education like college and trade schools? I guarantee you in trade schools there's a standardized testing. There's a standardized testing in order to become a certified mechanic, a certified plumber. There are standardized tests. Why in the world did there want to be a standardized testing in even the general studies of higher education are beyond me that they're just coming up now. And if they have had them in the past, it doesn't seem like they've kept to them too earnestly or too honestly. It seems to me like they've gone astray from that, just like other standards in the military, in education. We've just gone away. Let's, and this isn't in my notes, but let's go ahead and touch that for a second. The whole, I hear a lot of feedback, if you will, of the commander in chief, the president, sitting down with the Department of War head, Pete Hegseth, and them sitting down with a bunch of the leaders, the admirals and the colonels and the generals, and the high elite leadership of our military forces, and sitting down and pretty much telling them the gist. Hey, the way we expected, the way we've accepted things, lately are not going to continue. We're going back to the old school military. We're going back to the fresh, military standards as far as fitness, as far as appearance goes. No more beards, no more hanging guts, no more unable to pass PT tests. And you know what? Again, you can think what you want. You can have, this is just my opinions out loud. This is why you tuned in, right? So at any rate, a lot of people are saying they had no right, they can't do that, the military needs to do that. Listen, as a veteran, and as most veterans I've seen, this is a good thing. Now, if you've never been in the military before, I caution you to be careful, because you know not what you speak of. Because I and I'll say this for myself, I would not be the person I am, as far as the leader, as far as the husband, as far as the father, as far as the person goes, if it weren't for the hard measures I had to take when I was in basic training. And I'm not just talking about the hazing. I'm talking about the stripping away of my personal beliefs, the stripping away of my individuality. And that was a hard word to say. And forming me into a team player, forming me into a soldier that will get along with others, that'll work well with others, and not only do well, but will have the others back. No race, no sex, no gender, no nothing can separate me from protecting my colleague, my teammate, my shipmate, my soldier at brother at arms, sister at arms. That stuff shouldn't even be a factor, and it's been a factor. And he said, no more, no more transgender and this and that. You know what? I don't know what's going on in the military today, but I know back then there wasn't a place for it, and we did fine. We did fine. There weren't people coming to me, or as a leader, there weren't people coming to me and saying, hey, look, I want to dress in a dress. No, that didn't happen. And let me tell you something else. When you get the right people to join the military, they're not joining to make a political statement. Most of the right people are joining because they want to do right and they want to protect their country. So what we have right now is we have a service, not only in the Army. Now, I retired from the Army, but you have Marine Corps and Army and Navy and Air Force and the Coast Guard. And you have those people that are joining for the free college or the college money. And in doing so, they're making political statements. And that is, I'm telling you right now, if you don't know, you ought to know, that is not the place for your political statement. That's not the platform. I see it all the time on TikTok, and it drives me insane to see these people that are on there. Oh well, free Palestine. Listen, you're absolutely right. You have, as an American, you have the right to freedom of speech. But like I said last time, so does everybody else that's an American. And you have a responsibility as a soldier, to put that first. Okay? And if you can't, then you need to resign. If you can't, then you need to step back, step away, and let somebody else take your place. And that's just some thoughts to myself out loud on that. Now, let's go on to some other really good, juicy stuff. Mutiny. Let's talk about mutiny in the WNBA. Now, you've heard me say it, and you've heard me express how important I think Caitlin Clark is to the WNBA. The only reason why anybody is watching nowadays. Now, I say that knowing darn well that 20 something years ago, 30 something years ago, I started when the WNBA started first out. I started watching the WNBA and I became grossly unimpressed. And not because they were females, not because they were women, not because, of anything else. The only reason why I stopped watching was because they were allowed to, I mean, they had to make it entertaining. And if you go back, and I'm going to be honest about it, these are just some thoughts of myself out loud, folks. Thoughts of myself out loud, and we're talking about absolute weight over choices. Okay, the weight of choices, and the weight of the remarks that were made. But let's go back. And let's talk about the WNBA when it first started out. It was just it was unentertaining. It just was not entertaining. And because of that, viewership dropped off. And if you don't believe me, listen, this is more than my opinion. You could look at the ratings for the last 20 something years. It just didn't get the spark. And it didn't get the spark because of it, not because of the talent necessarily, but because it wasn't entertaining at first. So they lowered, so so in the interim of that, they went ahead and decreased the ball size. The ball size is smaller than an official NBA ball, and I believe they went lower on the net. Okay, if I'm wrong, let me know. Okay, but this is what I know. Okay, is that the net to 10 foot? I don't believe the nets are 10 foot in the WNBA. I could be wrong. Okay, I'll look that up and I'll get back with you. But what I'm trying to say is they've had to make changes. And what they've made changes on are especially like the officiating. Here's the thing. Everybody keeps saying the officials, the officials, the officials, the officials. Listen, I'm not defending them, but they have been officiating this same way for the last umpteen years. And the reason why they're doing that is because they've allowed a little bit of physical. We heard it last year. We heard it, and I keep on I keep on shortchanging you on a complete sentence. But listen, try to follow along with me, and I apologize for that, but try to follow along. The whole idea of physicality is to bring entertainment into the WNBA. Okay, this was before. Okay, this is before the talent, and I'm not saying that Caitlin Clark was the first talented person. What I'm trying to say is that before, that's what was entertaining. That's what the physicality was the biggest thing that people liked, just like in wrestling. People people don't watch WWE for the wrestling moves. They like it because of the physicality, for the entertainment. And that's what the WNBA had turned into. And they had to, otherwise they would have been dead and gone long time ago. But now you've got people like Nafise Collier, and you've got people like Nika Okawala. Oh, I'm butchering her name. I apologize. But you've got these people coming in, and they want Sabrina Esco, Stewart. You've got these people coming in with actual talent. Cameron Brink, um, Kelsey Plum. You got these people coming in with actual talent, and instead of giving them the floor, instead of letting them, hey, it's time to play some basketball now. They're continuing the charade. They're continuing the physicality. You can't do that. You cannot. When you do that, you wind up like you did with the Indiana Fever, where half your bench or half your starters are on the bench, and you're playing bench starters. And hey, you still make the championship or the playoffs. And you can say what you want. My personal opinion and some thoughts to myself out loud. The Fever should have won and gone on to the finals, but that's just me. I digress. That's just me. If you agree, you agree. Let me know how you feel in the comments. But this is what we're facing, okay? This is what we're facing when you do that. And so now you've got a commissioner who's used to the physicality. You got the commissioner who is just new. She's only a couple years old. As far as being a commissioner, and so now she's starting to think, well, all this, this success is because of the things that the league has done, and because of the league, and mind you, that the league has started getting some better talent. But when you consider the fact that when Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Cameron Brink entered the league, it brought an attention. It brought an attention to the league like never seen before in its entirety. And to reject that, and to deny that as a purpose, as a actual thing, is beyond ludicrous. So let me get into the story. I've already wasted 6 minutes of this. Let me get into this now. The leadership. So the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, is under fire allegedly for telling Napheesa Collier that Caitlin Clark should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, and implying that she owes her success. Listen to me, because I'm serious. I'm not doing a skit. I'm serious now. That she owes her success to the league and not the other way around. Now, can you talk about deny? I mean, can you be more in denial than that? That's not just tone deaf, that's dismissive. That's absolutely dismissive of reality. Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. She brings to the WNBA what Michael Jordan brought to the NBA, what Tiger Woods brought to golf. Period. Period. And to suggest she's lucky to be there rather than earned it, rather than earned her spot, that she's lucky. And then to say, because she also said, wait, I'm not done. She also told Collier in this one-on-one discussion that players, because and let me, in case you don't know, Napheesa Collier is I guess the vice president, or co-president or vice president of the Players Union, WNBA Players Union. And this is why she's having this one-on-one discussion, I would assume. And so she made also, according to Collier, Engelbert, Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner of the WNBA as of right now, as of this podcast, has stated that that Caitlin Clark should be thankful that because if it wasn't for the league, and her being in the league, she would not have made $16 million from off the court, from like Nike and stuff like that, which I do not agree with. But she also said that the players, listen to me, the players should be on their knees thanking them for being able to play, and thanking them for the media package that they got them. I don't know. Maybe I live in a different alternate reality, but it seems to me they did it because of the attention they were getting from the admission, or from the entrance of Caitlin Clark into the WNBA. That and the media deal, on top of the media deal, was the whole not flying in private jets. Because before they had to fly with everybody else, and it was embarrassing. And I give credit to Napheesa Collier. She didn't stay quiet. She called that leadership the worst in the world, and she's absolutely right. And she's absolutely right, because they haven't done anything. They haven't done anything to keep up with the change. They haven't changed the officiating. They had multiple times. They had multiple people complaining about it. It wasn't just Stephanie White. It wasn't just the Indiana Fever. It wasn't just Caitlin Clark. It was almost every single team. But I have a feeling with the players union agreement coming up, I have a feeling that they have a liability that if they agree to that, they're going to agree that these players need to be paid more. And I think they're trying to protect themselves. I don't know. I don't know. But Collier, she demanded accountability for player safety, for the officiating, and for respect. Her words, I'm telling you, if Caitlyn would have came and said something, it would have been one thing. Okay, if Angel came and said something, uh, it would have been one thing. But you have somebody that is respected, somebody that doesn't turn, doesn't make waves. She's the vice president of the union, and she's got that position for a reason. She's level-headed, and I mean, she didn't just say, "Well, I think." No, she made pinpointed accusations. She made pinpointed points that this is the worst leadership in the world, was her exact quote, unquote, her exact words. And it sparked a wave of support. I mean, you talking about Aja Wilson supported it, Angel Reese supported it. So it's not just one sided. And she stuck up for Caitlyn as well and said, if it wasn't for Caitlyn and wasn't for Angel and wasn't for Paige Beckers, that we wouldn't be seeing this. We would be going through the same stuff. Listen, she's in denial. Kathy Engelbert is in denial because if it wasn't for the money that the NBA had footed the WNBA, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. It would be another failed league. It'd be like the XFL, another failed league. Here's the encouraging part of all this that we can take from this and from my thoughts about this. When one voice speaks truth, others follow. Collier reminds us that leadership isn't just about titles. It's not about just being the vice president of this or being the owner of that or the commissioner. It's about integrity. And Caitlyn, you know what? Caitlyn could have made the statement and defended herself. And she could have said, "I did this and that, and if it weren't for me," and she could have took the role that many in the WNBA and many in the NBA would have gladly took, but she didn't. She said she agreed with what Collier said. She said she didn't hear about Engelbert's comments, and she played it very close to the vest and very professional. But let me tell you who did clap back, and that was her teammates. And that, my friend, is what solidarity, that's what teamwork looks like. So let's talk some couple of things as we segue onto a different topic. Let's talk back home. Okay, here in Hardin County, we've got two stories that hit me hard. I've got some thoughts on, and we're running a little over the 30-minute time I like to stay within, but I do want to express my concerns for this. First is an 18-year-old called Aiden Durbin. He pleaded guilty just recently to selling fentanyl to a minor who later died in December of last year of an overdose. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and that's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking not only for the death and for the family of the one that died, that took an innocent pill. That who knows why he took it? Who knows what he thought he was going to get from it? But he took it. And what's more horrible about it is that another 18-year-old gave it to him. Now here are two lives. Here are two lives that are changed forever over a stupid drug. Over a stupid drug. And in 2024, in 2024, they say 1,400 Kentuckians died from overdoses. Out of that 1,400, 60% of the deaths that died from overdoses in Kentucky, 60% were from fentanyl. From fentanyl. 60%, that's more than half. We have to do more than just sit on the sidelines and say, "Oh, I'm glad that wasn't my kid. Oh, I'm glad it wasn't my son. Oh, I know well, I'm glad it wasn't me." We have to do more than that. Do you know 2 milligrams, smaller than a tip of a pencil, smaller than a tip of a pencil, can be lethal? I Now I saw it on TV, but I don't know, but I'm kind of obliged to believe, but they have it to where they're touching, just touching, and it gets into your pores, can kill you. This is from fentanyl. If we don't take responsibility, not only in ourselves, but in those around us, well, how can I be responsible for someone else? Education, my friend. Educate, and this is why I'm bringing this up, because I want to educate others that may not know fentanyl is a dangerous drug. I want to educate those that may not know that your kid at school may be introduced or pressured into trying this. Oh, don't worry about it. I've had plenty of them. Now it might be just a candy. It might just be offered as, oh, as okay. So when I was a kid, when I was in high school, I was not pressured. I was offered a pill that would help me. I was holding 2 jobs and still went to school, and I was offered this pill. It looked like a sugar pill. It looked like a candy pill. It looked like an aspirin. Here, take this. This will help you stay awake during school. I didn't take it, but I want to tell you that's the choices we make. Your son, and this is from this. I have an Italian 4'2" Italian mother that drilled, "Don't you ever take anything from anybody outside of this house." And that was drilled inside me. Now, times have changed. People have changed. Circumstances have changed. The consequences, unfortunately, have not changed. This Durbin kid accepted what he did. He accepted the consequences. And while nothing can bring the young life back, this case sends a signal. Choices have weight, and justice has a role. We have to hold those that are doing this accountable, and we have to, as parents, hold ourselves accountable and hold our children accountable to not take things that are offered from strangers or even from friends outside of my house. My son knows, my son and my daughters, but my son who's living with us now knows he will not take, or he should not take, anything that is offered outside of this home. Second, a father who's just trying to help his infant, 2-month-old, I believe, child with gas pain used a method he saw on social media. He saw this method on social media and he thought he would use it to relieve this child of the crying, to relieve this child of the pain that it was suffering. It left the baby with healing from rib fractures. He admitted to being rough, and now he's charged with second-degree criminal abuse. Now, I can't put myself in that father's place, but I know from my own experience. I know from I did not have internet when I was raising my kids when they were babies, but I will tell you this: be careful of the advice you take. Not only in raising your kids, but any advice you take. Be careful. And it might seem like good advice, but be careful where it comes from, who's giving it to you, and the consequences. This is where, when we say we listen and we don't judge, well, this is where it gets complicated, because what happens when listening leads to harm? What happens when listening becomes gullibility and we don't use common sense? What happens when listening becomes meh and tries it anyway? Common sense should tell you that there's a certain amount of pressure that goes into a child. Yes, they're durable. Yes, I think you can drop them and they won't break, but you've got to be careful. When he admitted, yes, I was rough, he knew there was a line and he crossed it. Parenting is hard and it's messy enough. And in the age of TikTok tips and Instagram hacks and it's easy to confuse advice with expertise. So listen, all I'm saying is be careful. Be careful. Get second and third opinions. Babies are fragiles. Fragiles? Babies are fragile. And no matter how good the intentions, we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Luckily, this baby is healing now. But with everything they have going on, I even, I even thinking right now of the videos I see. There are videos out there that purposely mislead people that don't know any better to do things they know they shouldn't. Like here, uh, in order to check and make sure if your gas is good, put a lighter next to your gas tank and light it. And if the fumes puff, then that should tell you right there. Common sense should tell you ought not to do that, right? So let's use common sense. All right. Now listen, today's what we're being exposed to, what we're being what we're seeing in front of us in today's stories are heavy, whether it be through government or whether it be through personal actions. Our opinion, our actions take weight, and there's weight in our choices. There are consequences for our choices and for the things that we decide to do. The weight of choices sometimes is irreversible. He is barred from seeing or being with any kind of child unsupervised. So the weight of his consequence or the weight of his choices has consequences. Fortunately, I should say, fortunately, he didn't kill this child. He didn't take this child's life. So there's that. Otherwise, I think he'd be in jail. Just like the kid that fed the other fentanyl. So whether you're a student, a parent, or someone just trying to make it through the week, look, you're not alone. Okay, we all stumble, we all learn. All right, these things are hard and heavy, but they remind us that growth comes from grace. We all learn. We all have the power to do better than we did today. Thanks for riding with me today. I'm over on my time, and I apologize if this episode stirred something in you. Share it, would you? Share it with somebody else if you agree or don't agree with. Just let me know because I'm not gonna. I have told you in the introduction in our first podcast. I told you you may not agree with everything I have to say, but I want to hear from you. Okay, put it in the comments. Be respectful. I'm gonna be respectful back. Be respectful, but let me know how you feel in the comments. I'll be back soon with more stories, more soul, and more strength. Until then, stay grounded, stay kind, and keep showing up for some thoughts to myself out loud. God bless and be encouraged.